So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of my lessons learned and my assumptions when I first started teaching online. And I didn't have anybody that basically took me by the hand and said, hey, here's what you need to think about. You're going to teach this online course for the first time. Here's what you need to know. It was pretty much, here's your syllabus. We use Blackboard. There's a course shell in Blackboard from whoever taught your course the last time, and have a great semester. And that was it, okay? Thank goodness I took the University of Phoenix faculty training, which proved to be invaluable, actually. It was excellent. So we're going to go over some little scenarios that relate to some things that I encountered and what I assumed and what I did wrong and lessons learned from that. So the backdrop really is we'll start out with adult learning, okay? So students, as you know, are a little bit different today than maybe 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, okay? We're more diverse. There's a lot more women in higher education today than ever before. Technology is being used a lot. The access that we're providing to students is greater than ever before. So you have to take that into account, as I know you do in your courses. But the real backdrop of adult learning and framing the issue for me is the students that I teach are pretty much all adults. Now, I know you teach a lot of adult students, but I'm guessing a lot of you have a bigger range, like maybe people 18 to, I don't know, 58, 68, could be more. 72, okay, there's the prize winner. So that is both a blessing and a challenge because they bring a lot of experience and different ideas, but they might be all over the place, okay? So your challenge is, all right, how do I deal with this diverse crowd in terms of their knowledge, skills, abilities? And it definitely is a challenge, but it's something that you at least need to be aware of. Well, here was my first blunder. I don't even know anything about my students, and who's getting the proofreading prize?
I got it.
Okay, I didn't skip a space. That was mine. I did that this morning. Okay. Well, I thought I didn't need to know anything about my students. So I just started teaching my class in Maryland, and then I find out that, gosh, these people know a lot. I'll bet some of them could actually teach this course better than me. So what that told me was there's a wealth of knowledge out there that I need to tap into in my class, and all my classes are online. They're not blended. They're totally, for the most part, there might be one or two occasionally, but most of them are online. So that creates challenges in itself. But they knew a lot about the topics, and a lot of them were experienced teachers. A lot of them had taken online courses before, so I was in a difficult situation. So what I learned to do was I started doing some research and talking to people, and they said, well, the people that know something about the content, you have to tap them and get them to help you teaching the class in a way. It's like, really? That's a good idea? They said, yeah, you want to engage them. You want to tap what they know, so instead of somebody being Mr. Wise Guy and posing these questions, you basically say, you know what, Joe, I'll bet you could share your experience with the class. And of course, you have to frame it so they don't go off on a tangent. But those folks that have a lot of experience and diversity in their knowledge, skills, and abilities can be a real asset to you. So find out about your students. What I like to do is I ask them a quick questionnaire. You know, is this your first course? Is this your first online course? You know, do you work? Where? That's so you get just a sense of, you know, who they are and where they're coming from. And chances are you probably already do that to a certain extent. I don't know. But I think it's a good idea. The other thing I learned that everybody's here to learn, and they're going to work hard, they're going to study, they're going to be collegial, they're going to follow the rules. Wrong. What I learned was, in some cases, not all, this is a required course for graduation. That's why I'm taking it. Okay? I didn't know that at first. Should I? Probably. But that gets back to the motivation. If you know why somebody wants to do something and why they're there, you might be able to deal with them a little bit more differently than if you think they're there for the noble reasons of, well, they're just here for the knowledge. They already have a PhD, and they're just taking my course to get this additional knowledge. So if you can find out why they're taking this course and what their hot buttons are, that is very helpful to you in designing future classes, dealing with your current one, communicating with the students in your class, and more. The other thing that I already touched on a little bit is sometimes subject matter experts, and I use the word expert very loosely, is that I had people in my courses that they had more experience than me in certain things. They could have taught the course. They could have taught certain aspects about the course probably better than me, and I recognize that. But what I did was, again, I already touched on this a little bit, but try to tap those as subject matter experts that'll be a resource to you. And then engage them. We do a lot of threaded discussions. I've engaged them to the point where I said, you know, Joe, why don't you lead the discussion this week? And here are your parameters, so they had a framework. And then what I found out in some cases, the course went to places that maybe I didn't intend it to go, but it ended up going to a better place in some instances. Now, did it go wrong sometimes too? Sure, it sure did. But I think you just have to take the leap of faith that, okay, if I frame this person's expertise in the right way and I use them as a resource, they could probably bring something to this course and this experience for me and the other students that I personally cannot. So I look at them as a resource. Now, Dr. Thiagi, who's pictured there, does anybody know who Dr. Thiagi is? Okay, you like call him Thiagi, right? He goes by that. Dr. Thiagi, he's an international expert in instructional design and learning, and he actually came to UMBC. He's a brilliant guy, he really is. But he came to speak, and we had 275 people to hear him speak. And after I introduced him, he told a couple quick jokes. He's a very funny, engaging guy as well. And then he went to the podium, and he said, okay, what do you want to know? And then he remained quiet. I'm getting nervous, because I'm looking at 275 people that I invited to come hear him make a presentation. And I'm thinking, is this guy going to present? What's he going to do? What if nobody asks any questions? It's like, I was really nervous. So he used, as many of you know from teaching in person, that silence is a very powerful tool. And eventually, somebody in the back said, Dr. Thiagi, I have a situation where, and then went on to talk about an issue that was germane to our topic. And then he started answering the questions. After he answered about 3 questions, he said, you know, it would be silly and presumptuous of me to come here to a room full of people and start lecturing on a subject that maybe you already know about or maybe aren't exactly interested in. Why don't we just cut right to the heart of things and talk about things that you really want to know? Now, could I do that? No. Can everybody do that? No. But his point is, they're adult learners. They come with experience, knowledge, skills, and abilities. They want to know how to apply what they're learning, or how do I use this? How does this make sense to me? So instead of him lecturing on something that was irrelevant for a number of them, he cut right to the chase and said, well, what do you want to know? And it worked. Now, I'm not sure I could do that. In fact, I don't think I can. But he has a lot of experience on me. Very, very, very sharp guy. Now, here's what I thought for discussion questions. People know what a good response is. I teach a course called The Adult Learner. And I'll say, tell me what you think, your early softball question. Tell me what you think, how adults learn. How do adults learn? And then I would get people that would give me these great responses, and I get people just giving me just not stuff that was any good. So what I realized was I have to describe what a good response is in a rubric. And so what I did was, over the years, not after the first semester I taught the course, stuff takes time, is I described what a good response is. A good response is you're replying that you at least understand the basic principles of adult learning. Okay, maybe the next level up is you're providing some references, whether they be journals or resources, that you're corroborating what your personal opinions with references. Maybe an A response would be you're doing the first two things, plus you're taking the discussion to a whole new level. Okay? Like there's some people that say, yep, me too, that's their response. And then, you know, other people are at that high level where they're synthesizing, they're evaluating what other people have said, and then they're synthesizing all their responses, and then they're taking the discussion, in many cases, to a better, newer level that maybe I never intended it to go, but it's a good place to be, okay? So that's why you have to define what a good response is, because otherwise people will say, well, I wrote a response, I should get an A. You know, it's worth 10 points, I should get all 10 points. So that's why you need to define what that looks like.